Yo, what's up, everyone? So I just wanted to make a very short and simple video on what my edge is, what my strategy is. And all my edge consists of is I have a playbook of three candlestick patterns that I hunt for and look for every single day I come to the charts. And if one of these candlestick patterns presents themselves to me in the markets, then it's my job to execute a trade. And if they don't, then there's no trades for me, and I will move on to the next day with the same mentality of hunting down these same patterns. And all an edge is a higher probability of one thing than the other. So meaning if I come to the charts and one of these candlestick patterns presents themselves to me, that tells me that there's a higher chance it will work out than not. All right. So I'm going to break down what these setups look like on the markets right now. So just let me share my screen to you. And all right, cool. So let's let's break down the first play I want to show you. And so we are in a range right now. We could do another video on what a range is, what it means, and how to identify a range. But support, this is support here, and this is resistance here, and support and resistance equal a range. And remember, again, we could do another video on what a range is, what support and resistance is, and yeah. So, but the basics of it to explain this in a simple form, you see how all of these candles here, you see how they're all printed sideways? And another thing to notice is you see how they all tried coming up into these areas here, right? Um, and rejected, right? You see how there's a wick here. Oh, let me redraw that. You see how there's a wick here, right? A wicks here, and then again down here, well, right here, and then again down here below at the support, wicks here. And what this wick means is that this candle once came down here, but then came back up, right? Came down here and came back up. Went up here, came back down. Went up, came back down. So what that tells me is that these candles are having a hard time breaking through these levels right now. And that will lead me into the first setup, right? And the first setup is when we get a candle to break out of the range. Look at something like this. We get a candle to break out of the range. So that is my confirmation candle, right? This the confirmation to my first setup. And remember, what this candle is doing some all these candles here couldn't do, right? So this tells me that there's a higher chance that it's going to drive to the next range, right? That's what a breakout tells me. So I would anticipate on the break of these highs for the next candle to drive on up and something like that to the next range, right? That's my that's my first setup. That's what it looks like right here, first setup. And yeah, that's the first setup. And now the second setup is say you get a candle that doesn't it doesn't, maybe it breaks the highs, maybe it doesn't, but it closes, it respects the level here and closes above it, looking something like this. Right? Doesn't close back into the range, but closes above the range, meaning it respects the range. It wants to continue to the next range, right? It didn't go back into the range we were just in. So then what I would do is anticipate that on the break of the highs, right, that we will drive up to the next range, right? Look at something like that. And that's my second setup. That's my second setup that I look for. That's the pattern, right? And then the third setup is say you missed this move, right? You missed the move up. What price has now done is created a high, right? So we can expect that the next candles will pull back or retrace for us, right? Pull back for us to form a support. And then once we get the support formed, that is my confirmation candle. This is my confirmation candle that, okay, at a candle perspective, at a trend perspective, we have made a high, we have pulled back, and we have formed a support now. Now, since we have formed support on the break of these highs, we should retest the highs, right? So my edge, this is my third candlestick pattern, which makes my edge. And I would anticipate that the next candle will drive on up to retest the highs, right? And that's it, right? Those are my three candlestick patterns, and that's all I look for. And remember, again, what these candlestick patterns mean when they present themselves to me is that there's a higher chance it works out than not, right? Because that's what makes an edge. So that's what I'll be hunting for every day. If one of these setups or none of these setups show up at all in the day, again, that's a no trade day for me. Then I will just simply preserve my money, preserve my capital, and move on to the next day and look for the next best trade, which is one of those candlestick patterns. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy that video. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Drop down in the comment section what video you guys want to see me do next. And I appreciate you guys stopping by here. And I hope you guys have a blessed day. And I'll see you on the next one.